Okay, so you've brought us some really interesting stuff on content strategy and SEO from
Yeah.
Coast Digital, right?
Yeah.
And they're a Squarespace web designer, so they're coming at this as experts
Yeah, they really know their stuff.
in SEO. So we're going to kind of go on a deep dive with you and try to figure out like what's really important here
For sure.
and what's going to apply to you, the listener.
Yeah, and I think what's really interesting is how much emphasis they put on the landscape shift,
Okay.
because they're saying that simply chasing keywords,
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of the old way of doing SEO,
Mm-hmm.
just doesn't cut it anymore, especially with AI.
Right.
Like there's so much AI-generated content.
Yeah, it's like everyone figured out the old map and now you need a new route to get to where you're going.
Exactly. And they argue that content strategy is that new route, right? Like
Mhm.
it's the way to navigate this new landscape.
Okay.
And it's not just about creating content.
Yeah.
It's about aligning it with your business goals,
Mm-hmm.
but then crucially the needs of your audience.
So it's really about like solving problems for your audience
Yeah.
and speaking directly to what they're interested in.
100%.
They had that great example about the pizza dough recipe, right?
Yes. The pizza dough recipe,
Yeah.
that is such a good illustration.
Yeah.
Because imagine you're going online and you want to find a pizza dough recipe.
Right.
And you're just bombarded with these long, rambling stories about somebody's grandma's kitchen.
Yeah, nobody's got time for that.
Nobody cares. You just want the recipe.
Exactly. Exactly.
And so it's that idea of just getting straight to the point
Yeah.
and providing that value immediately.
It's about understanding that people's time is precious.
Yes.
So how do we actually go about like really understanding what our audience wants?
Well, they suggest things like surveys,
Mm-hmm.
using analytics, really trying to gather as much information and insight into your audience as possible.
So you're getting feedback even before you start creating content, essentially.
Yeah, like it's like having a conversation with your ideal client or customer
Mm.
before you've even created anything. And you're saying, what are your pain points? What are you looking for?
That's really smart.
Yeah.
Now, they also talk about this idea of jobs to be done. What's that about?
Okay, so jobs to be done. So this is a framework
Okay.
that basically says, look beyond simple demographics.
Mm.
Like we need to understand the underlying motivations of our audience.
Okay.
So what job are they hiring this product or service to do?
Okay.
And they gave the example of this sauce company
Okay.
and how instead of just targeting tech-savvy professionals, which is very broad,
Right, right.
they really honed in on what are the specific tasks
Okay.
that those types of people need to accomplish.
So like better communication, more streamlined project management, those kinds of things.
Exactly.
So it's really getting to the why behind the who.
Yes.
It's not about selling a product. It's about how does that product fit into their life and what are they going to get out?
Yes. And once you understand those motivations,
Yeah.
then you can tailor your content to directly address those needs. It's like you're guiding them on a journey with your content.
Okay.
And that's where this idea of the content funnel comes in.
Okay.
And you've probably heard of this before, but it's that idea of like top of funnel, middle of funnel.
Yeah. TOFU, MOFU, BOFU, all those fun acronyms.
Exactly, all the acronyms.
Yeah.
But it's helpful, I think, because at the top of the funnel,
Okay.
people are just becoming aware they have a problem.
Yeah, they're starting to do their research.
Right. So they're just starting to do their research.
right.
And that's where you come in and provide them with valuable information
Okay.
that answers those initial questions and really establishes your expertise.
So like blog posts would be a good example of that.
Yeah, blog posts, how-to videos,
Yeah.
even quizzes,
Okay.
like things that are just kind of like, hey, this is a problem and we can help you solve it.
So it's less about selling at that point
Yes, 100%.
and more about just educating
Yeah, building that trust.
and building that, and trust factor.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
And then as they move down, kind of into the middle of the funnel.
Yeah, so middle of funnel, they're more aware of your brand.
Okay.
They're actively comparing you to other options out there.
So they're really starting to shop around.
Exactly.
Okay.
And so your content there should be more in-depth.
Okay.
Think like case studies, webinars, things that really show,
Yeah, comparisons maybe.
yes, comparisons, showing how your solution stacks up against others.
So really helping them weigh their options at that point?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
And then finally, the bottom of the funnel, these people are ready to buy.
Yeah. They're just about ready to click that button.
They're right there. They just need that final nudge.
Okay.
And this is where, you might offer a free trial, a consultation.
Yeah.
Testimonials are great here
Sure.
because it's really about overcoming those last objections they might have.
So each stave has a slightly different strategy to it than, and with so much content out there, especially with AI becoming so prevalent,
Oh my gosh, right.
how do we make sure that ours is the content that actually gets seen?
That's such a good question.
Yeah.
And I think it's a point that Tiny Coast Digital really emphasizes, which is in a sea of sameness, offering unique insights, perspectives,
Okay.
and a human touch
Yeah.
is more important than ever.
So not trying to sound like a robot,
Exactly.
really embracing what makes us human.
Yes, share your story, your
Yeah.
expertise,
Oh, yeah.
your unique point of view.
I like
You
it.
know, like what is it that you bring to the table that nobody else does?
It makes sense because people buy from people, right?
Yes.
Even when it's like a website and content and things like that, there's still that human connection.
And speaking of human, they also talk about the importance of EEAT.
EEAT, what's that stand for?
Okay, so not food, even though it sounds like it could be.
Okay, good to know.
It stands for experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness.
Okay, so it's really about building a reputation for your website, showing Google that you're a trustworthy source.
Yes, like
Yeah.
you are the go-to expert in whatever it is that you're talking about.
And how do we convey that through our content?
Well, it comes back to high-quality content,
Okay.
providing real value,
Yeah.
but it's also not just what you say.
Okay.
It's how you say it.
Okay.
And so they talk a lot about this idea of content design.
Okay. What does that mean, content design?
So content design is really about how you're presenting information
Okay.
in a way that's engaging,
Sure.
easy to understand.
So, like, if your website's just a wall of text, that's probably not great content design.
Yeah, nobody's reading that.
Yeah.
No one's got time for that.
No, nobody's got time for that these days.
Exactly.
So using visuals, using different formats.
Yes, think about your own experience online.
Yeah.
Like, are you more drawn to just blocks of text
Yeah.
or something that's broken up?
No, give me visuals. Give me something exciting.
Exactly. Give me something interesting.
Yeah.
So visuals, videos, interactive elements, all of that plays into it.
So then when we talk about on-page SEO, this is where it starts to feel a little bit technical.
A little bit, but they make it very approachable.
Okay, good.
So on-page SEO is really about optimizing your content
Okay.
for both search engines and human readers.
Okay, so we're speaking the language of Google,
Yes,
but
exactly.
also making sure that it makes sense to people.
100%. You don't want to sacrifice one for the other.
Right, because at the end of the day, a human's going to be the one reading it.
Exactly.
So what are some of the elements that fall under on-page SEO?
So we're talking title tags, meta descriptions, headers, all of those things.
Okay, so those are the things that we don't necessarily see on the page itself,
Right, they're kind of in the background.
but they influence how it shows up in search results.
Exactly.
Okay.
And luckily, Tiny Coast Digital gives some very clear and practical examples of how to optimize these.
Oh, I love that because that's what I need. Like, show me how to do it.
Exactly. They break it down in a way that's very easy to understand and apply.
That's great because it can feel really intimidating sometimes.
Absolutely.
Like, where do I even begin?
Yes.
And speaking of kind of like signposts and roadmaps,
Yeah.
they also talk about internal linking.
Yes. Internal linking.
So what's that all about?
So internal linking is simply creating links within your own website.
Okay.
So it helps search engines understand the structure and hierarchy of your content.
So it helps Google, but it also helps your reader, right?
100%. It makes it easier for visitors to navigate your site as well.
So it's like you're providing little pathways for them.
Exactly. Think of it like creating pathways between different rooms in a house.
I like that analogy.
Yeah. So these internal links are basically guiding visitors to related content.
Okay.
So it's keeping them engaged.
Yeah, it's all about keeping them on your website.
Exactly. Exactly.
Longer they stay there, the more likely they are to become a reader or a customer.
100%.
Now, they also get into this, and I'm going to be honest, this is where it starts to feel a little bit overwhelming to me, but they talk about content pillars and clusters and pillar pages.
So it sounds a little bit intimidating,
It does.
but it's actually a really effective way to structure your content.
Okay.
So think of it like building a house.
Okay.
Your content pillars are the foundation.
Okay.
So those are the main topics that your website focuses on.
So for somebody who's like a sustainable living expert,
Yeah.
their pillars might be like eco-friendly home, green travel,
Exactly.
conscious consumerism.
Yes, those are great examples.
Okay, so those are like the main categories.
Yeah.
And then what are the clusters?
So content clusters are like the rooms within your house.
Okay.
Each one focuses on a specific subtopic related to a pillar.
So under eco-friendly home, you might have energy efficiency, natural cleaning products,
Exactly.
sustainable gardening.
Yeah.
Yes.
Got it. Got it.
And then your pillar pages.
Yeah.
Those are like the blueprints
Okay.
that tie everything together.
So they bring all the clusters together under that one pillar.
Exactly. They provide a comprehensive overview of each pillar and link out to all the relevant content.
So for somebody who's like really visual, this is starting to make sense to me because you've got like your main categories and then all the subcategories, and then the pillar page is kind of like the table of contents.
Yes, exactly.
That brings it all together.
And it helps users.
Yeah.
But it also helps search engines understand the breadth and depth of your expertise.
So it's not just about creating the content, it's about organizing it in a way that makes sense.
Exactly. It's about that structure.
So that Google can find it, so that your readers can find it.
Yes. Findability is key.
Exactly. Exactly.
All right, so then we get to off-page SEO, which, I'll be honest, always feels a little mysterious to me.
It can. It can.
Like, what even is that?
So off-page SEO is basically everything that happens outside of your website.
Okay.
To build authority and trust.
So kind of like building your reputation in the real world?
Exactly.
Okay.
Like you want people to recommend you, vouch for your expertise.
Yeah, word of mouth, but online.
Word of mouth, but digital.
I like it.
Okay. So backlinks are a big part of that.
Backlinks. Okay, so that's when other websites link to your website.
Exactly.
Okay.
So it's like getting votes of confidence from your peers.
And the more votes you have, the more legit you seem.
Exactly. But ultimately it comes down to, like, you have to create exceptional content that people naturally want to link to.
Content is king, as they say.
Content is king. But I think Tiny Coast Digital makes a really good point of saying, like, you need a queen.
Okay.
And the queen is content strategy.
So the strategy is what guides it?
Exactly. It's not enough to just create content.
Okay.
You have to be strategic about it.
So we're not just throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks?
No. No more spaghetti walls.
Please, no more spaghetti walls.
We've all been there.
We've all been there. We've all done it.
But, you know, at the end of the day, it's about connecting with real people.
Right. Like human beings.
Yes. And I think, you know, Tiny Coast Digital reminds us to humanize our brand, share our unique story.
Yeah, because that's what people connect with, right?
Exactly.
It's like, we can have all the best SEO in the world, but if our content's boring, nobody's going to read it.
Exactly. Nobody cares.
Nobody cares, and they shouldn't.
And they shouldn't. They deserve better.
They deserve to be entertained, informed, all the things.
Yes.
So, as we wrap up here, I feel like there's so much to unpack with content strategy and SEO.
It's a lot. It's a big topic.
It is a big topic, but if you had to distill it down, what would you say is like the one thing that you want our listener to walk away with?
I think the biggest takeaway is that it's not a one-size-fits-all approach, right? Like what works for one person might not work for another.
Right.
It really requires you to understand your audience.
Yeah.
Create high-quality content that resonates with them. And then, of course, you know, optimize it for search engines.
Make Google happy, but also make your readers happy.
Make your readers happy, because at the end of the day, they're the ones who matter most.
They are. They're the ones buying your product, right?
Exactly. And, you know, I think one last thing. The digital landscape is constantly changing.
Always, always changing.
So we have to be willing to adapt and evolve our strategies.
It's a journey, not a destination.
100%. So stay curious, experiment, and don't be afraid to try new things.
That's great advice. So as we leave our listener today, what seemingly niche expertise do you have that could set you apart in this vast online world? Think about it. And until next time, happy content creating.